Hey everybody, please forgive my lateness. Somehow my phone would not do my live as usual, so I had to switch over. So it's great to see all of you. Thanks for hopping on. So, what is the plastic lawn chair in your life? Okay, let's just look at this. What is the plastic lawn chair in your life? Some of you, like me, may have noticed a few of these memes that go around where they've got an elephant or maybe it's a horse and it's tied to a plastic lawn chair. And the caption reads, sometimes our chains are just in our mind, or sometimes our chains are more mental than they are physical. And as someone who is, good morning everybody, and as someone who is moving more freely about and just returned from 2 weeks in Europe and hope to return here in the next couple of weeks to be there. So this is something that God has been really pressing inside of me. Is Nancy, what makes you think you can't move freely about? What makes you think that you can't do what I've given you to do? And so he challenges me as he is showing me things in my life. So I'm asking you today, what are the plastic lawn chairs? Because when you look at the meme, you're like, oh yeah, that's just so, obvious. But how many of you know if you think you can't do something, then oftentimes you don't. You don't even plan. You don't even make provisions for it. You don't take the necessary steps to be able to actually accomplish what God has given you to do. So I want to be able this morning, as we are here on Move On Mondays, I want to be able to really encourage you, not to shame you, not threaten you, not guilt you, not just provoke you recklessly, but to truly provoke. We're called in the scripture to provoke one another to good deeds. Let's be a provoker. Let's be an encourager in that direction. So again, welcome everybody. I'm so glad to see you. I'm on a little bit of a different instrument here this morning doing this, so thanks for hanging in there. So what is the plastic lawn chair for you? What is it that you think you're tied to that you can't move from? And oftentimes it's like a low-grade fever. It's something you barely know is operating until God begins to expose it. And we think, how much longer, am I not going to be able to move about? Well, my friends, you can move about just anytime you're ready. And so you have to examine what makes me think I can't go do things. And sometimes we are overly concerned about maybe what it's going to look like or what it's going to require, and the risk is too strong, too much. But I've been encouraging, I know especially my Nancy McCready ministry partners recently in my Producer's Way emails, are you ready to take intelligent risk? It is intelligent to do the will of God. But even when you're doing the will of God, there is still risk that is involved. And so we want to be those who live in intelligent risk, and that we understand there are going to be things that we're going to face, things that we need to address, things that we need to overcome. And God is in miniature right now giving all of us opportunities to be able to deal with things in their smaller scale version. Can I say it like that? So like for me right now, learning how to move about freely and travel and face the things that will need to be faced, to be able to again be sent out to different locations to work in different assignments, different geographic locations, things like that. There are things that seem a little bit daunting today, but God has reminded me, Nancy, this is small compared to what I'm preparing you for and training you for. So I had to begin to shift my whole way of looking at things and say, okay, I'm willing to go, I'm willing to move, I'm willing to risk. because this is the day of enlargement, my friends. This is the day of stretch out the tent pegs. This is the time of when God is beginning to get the tent pegs deep, if you will, in our dependency on Him. That's what you're driving the tent pegs deep into. You're driving it down deep into Him. Your dependency upon Him, your trust in Him, your faith in Him. And that's what's going to bring stability. That's what's going to bring structure and real structure. Okay, you may have heard me say this before. Real structure, a real skeleton is what gives you mobility, all right, and flexibility. Did you know that the hard bones inside of you is what gives all your meat the ability to be able to move, to be able to flex, to be able to stand still, to be able to run, to be able to do everything? You do have to have a skeleton. So God is looking to get our tent pegs driven deeply down into Him so that we can move with Him. Structure is not meant to be for control. It's meant to be for growth, for movement, for flexibility. And there is a momentum that He is building right now inside of us. And many of you, like me, are going to have to face what is your plastic lawn chair. What is there? You may not even see the rope that goes from you to that plastic lawn chair, just the belief that I can't move. I'm stuck here. There's nothing I can do. We can't do anything. We've got to, and we start complaining. And one of the root words of complain is to remain. And so what happens is we start complaining about the situation, and so therefore we remain in it, and we almost preach ourselves into absolute bondage. And we are subjecting ourselves to a bondage that is not required. There's no grace for it. That's why it gets really rough, because there's no grace for it. If God is requiring something of us, then I promise you there's going to be a grace and an ability to move through it and to learn how to walk in that set of circumstances, but yet those circumstances don't control us. And if we don't learn in the miniature, if we don't learn in the smaller versions today, then we're not going to be ready for the larger things that God is getting us ready for. So I wanted to read again, because, I don't mind being repetitive. It's like a part of my personal brand, So I wanted to read to you Isaiah 54 as I get ready to close out. Isaiah 54 says, "Sing, barren woman, who has never had a baby. Fill the air with song, you who've never experienced childbirth. You're ending up with far more children than all those childbearing women." Now this is speaking spiritually. Those of us who have realized we can't do anything, we can't produce anything, that's one of the first things a producer has to know and learn experientially in reality, is I am not going to be the one who produces all of this that God has written down over me. There's an old saying that I learned years ago: God always does the supernatural through the barren womb. You can see it time and time again in the scripture. And so we've got to realize there's a song that the barren ones will sing out. All right? And that's because we're not going to remain barren forever, because the word says that we're going to end up with far more than those who might be naturally gifted. I'm all about it, okay? So here we go. So it says, "Clear lots of ground for your tents. Make your tents large. Spread out. Think big. Use plenty of rope. Drive the tent pegs deep. You're going to need lots of elbow room for your growing family." See, those who are barren today, who are realizing what they can't do today, that it's not their natural things that are going to produce the supernatural things that God has spoken to you and placed over your life, and what He's calling you to, and the assignment and all of that. There has to be a willingness to walk through the barren times, to tap in to the absolute supernatural production that God has put inside of you and inside of me. Whatever measure that is, whatever capacity that is, whatever yours is, I guarantee you today, He's looking to enlarge and bring you into the fullness of that. None of us have reached our full measure with Him. So it's time for an enlarging. But what is happening oftentimes is that we are not enlarging. We're moving around on smaller and smaller territory. And I'm here to say that it's time to put the restraining order on the enemy, and it's time for us to be freely moving about the plane. Do you understand what I'm saying? Not that you have to be on a plane. All right? It's wherever you are. Okay? The restraining order is on the enemy. It's not on me. It's not on you. We are called to be expanding. Okay? We are called to be letting God bring an enlargement, because there is a whole lot more that He's about to birth through us and establish and build through us. All right? So it says you're going to need lots of elbow room for your growing family. You're going to take over whole nations. You're going to resettle abandoned cities. Now listen, he says, don't be afraid. You're not going to be embarrassed. Here's your plastic lawn chair. It says, don't hold back. You're not going to come up short. Plastic lawn chair. You'll forget all about the humiliations of your youth. Do you see that? Don't be afraid. Don't hold back. You will forget about the humiliations of your youth. So for many of us, our plastic lawn chair is the things that held us back previously, the fear of being embarrassed, the fear of coming up short, that I'm going to risk and say all this stuff in faith, and then I'm going to get out there and nothing's going to happen. Okay. Is that what you're afraid of? That's your plastic lawn chair. Like, what's going to be said? And let me tell you what one of my mentors had to tell me. Nancy, people not thinking about you as much as you are. I was like, ooh, yeah, that's probably true, because I am thinking about me way too much. All right? Do you understand that it's season by season God exposes those plastic lawn chairs? Okay? So I want you to be encouraged today. This is a day, this is a time where God is looking to bring enlargement. Number one is He's enlarging our capacity for His presence within our own life. He's enlarging our capacity to trust, to depend, to abide, because that's where the real production is. But every one of us has to face the plastic lawn chairs that we have been tied to for far too long. And maybe some of you even got free from certain things, and you've gone back now in this season and you've hooked yourself back in because you're afraid, because you don't want to lose control, whatever it may be. My friends, you have never had control. That is an illusion. Okay? And the day that you realize, I don't think I've been in control, but I have been under the illusion that I've been in control. All right? And the day that you decide that you'd rather have Him hover and brood over you and have Him lead you and take you into wide open places, okay? Because this is a promise that He gave me years ago. He said, I'm going to flood the souls of mankind, and I'm going to bring them into wide open places, okay? This is the day of enlargement. But if you think you are only able to move and function on a small piece of property, you're just going to get really, really good in that one little spot. And then you're probably going to start complaining, right? Because life is inside of you. Largeness is inside of you. And that's a part of the frustration. And so guess what? If you want to ease that frustration, if you want to come out from underneath it, then begin to move about freely in the wise and timely ways that God gives you. I didn't say recklessly, okay? So I'm going to be moving about freely, and I want to encourage you to do the same, because this is about moving forward with Him. We are free, my friends, to move forward with Him. So let Him expose whatever plastic lawn chair that you're attached to, and you, my friends, as He shows you, come into agreement with Him and unhook from it and begin to take the steps to live in intelligent risk. Let's move forward with Him, and so that He can have the desires of His heart, and that becomes the desires of our heart, right? He has so satisfied me that now all I want to do is say, Father, what is it that you would like? Father, what is it that you desire? I don't do that from some self-martyring, no, because I'm so full, because He has so met my need and continues to meet my need as I abide, that it literally, by the very nature of His life within me, frees me to say, wow, Father, what is it that you would like to do? We are those called to live this way. So, hey there in England, hey there in Iowa. I'll be there in Iowa on Wednesday. Can't wait. So great to see all of you. All right? So here we go. Share this if you think it can bring real, true encouragement to others. Tag your friends. do a watch party, do whatever it is the social media things give you options to do. But let's do it. Let's get the message out. And for those of you that would like to be on my email list, because I'm sending out video emails, very short, every Friday, just go to nancymccready.com, scroll down to the bottom, and if you put in your email, then you'll also get a free PDF guide to 5 ways to build a personal culture of discipleship, 5 ways to build a corporate culture of discipleship. But really, you'd be putting in your email, and then you would then be on our email list for things that we're sending out, okay? So I would love for you to connect with me, but most of all, let's connect with Him, move with Him, and let's let Him enlarge us for all that is coming. All right? Love you all. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.